All right, another car review. This is my second review. I kind of only feel the need to do reviews whenever I feel very passionate about something, whether that be positive or negative. This is a short review on the Fenrir, the Tenable Fenrir, because there's a lot of reviews out there for this knife, I think, in different variations. And I'm just going to add my little take to it because there's a problem with every Fenrir I have. I have 4 Fenrirs, and there's a problem on every single one of them. It's minor, but it's a problem, and because I'm a picky bastard. So I have a follow-up video to do on the Tundra, the CJRB Tundra that I did about a month or 2 ago, and it's not good. That one has a drastic error. The knife failed, basically, and it's broken. Just like 3 days after I got it. Not the green one. I ordered a black one. So the green and silver one that you saw in that video with the stonewash, that one's still fine. I ordered the all black one and it was a disaster. So here's the Fenrir. We'll get to that later. I'm going to do a follow-up video on it. I might rant a little bit about CGRB today, but this is about the Tenable Fenrir. Concept makes Tenable, if you don't know that. This is their budget line, and they've been doing a crazy good job. So this is my 4th Fenrir, I think. I've got different colors and variations, and I intend to get more. I don't have any of the top liner lock, the compression lock one. I just have axis locks. This thing is awesome. I mean, look at this design. Look at this silhouette. That silhouette is so cool. Oh, look at that. It's epic. Very smooth. Crossbar lock is very good. Very strong. There's no, sorry, I'm just cleaning off my camera here a little bit, see if that improves anything. There's no failure. My wife used to drive this car. This is my work car, by the way, so it's dirty. My wife used to drive this as our primary car, and she put this on there, and I just kept it because it feels nice. Feels nice. And then our actual work car bit the dust finally, so we switched out our work car to this Trailblazer. So anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and just get the bad part out of the way because it's overall a fantastic knife. The problem, so if you've seen, I'm sure you've seen in groups, online, Facebook, stuff like that, Reddit, YouTube, there's all kinds of videos on YouTube about it too, about knife centering, how to fix knife centering. So you'll see people use like a piece of paper to slide in between there and then tighten the screws somehow and all that. I don't know if that works for Atlas locks. I'd have to think about it for a little bit. Because I think most of the videos I see are for like liner locks, but it might work for axis locks. I'm not sure. Crossbar locks. But this blade is not completely centered. That doesn't really bother me. I don't care if it's like dead in the middle. It's a little off. You see, it's a little to the left right there. See, you see it a little bit more that way. And all my Fenrirs are like that, except for maybe one, but it still has the same problem. It's just not as obvious. So you can sit here and tighten it, mess with it. You know, please guys help. The knife isn't centered. How do I get my knife centered? This one I don't think can be centered unless you can somehow find a way to push the blade over and then tighten it down to where it stays over to kind of like be deceitful, to feign the idea that it's centered. The reason being, and this is why I'm bringing this up, because nobody that I've seen brings this problem up. Because they don't realize it's there. And it's very, 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 very common. Please look at your knives if you're having a problem with centering and tell me or figure out if you're having this problem. Because nobody talks about it. Because nobody pays attention. Because nobody looks. You know, a lot of these knife reviewers, you know, some of the bigger ones, they get hundreds, even thousands of knives. They don't spend enough time with them to really give an actual review. They carry it in their pocket for a couple days. Boom, I know everything about it. I'm going to do a review on it. Sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes it's not. In this case, the Fenrir are so popular, and I've not seen a single soul talk about this, but all 4 of mine have it. So I don't think I have the only 4 out of the arsenal of Fenrirs that has this. The blade is not straight. It's crooked. I don't know if I can make it pick up here in the video, but see, look at that. Look, it's curved. Look at that aggressive, how it curves to the left. Now, I'm still trying to figure out if it's warped from heat treating because look at that. You can kind of see it right there. My phone has a hard time focusing on like finer things like that, like little thin lines and stuff. But, you know, if you can't see it, the blade is supposed to be dead straight like this, but mine slightly curves like that. not my penis. And they all do it, and they all curve to the left, all of them. This is exaggerated what I'm doing right here, but that's what they're doing. So I'm trying to figure out if it's a warp from heat treating, because I am a sort of beginner, intermediate knife maker, and I deal with this problem as well. When you quench the knife, you heat the knife up. I mean, for this steel, I'm not sure. For my knives, it's around 1500 degrees, 1530, 1550. And then you quench it, and that causes a violent, rapid temperature change in the blade that hardens the steel. But what also happens is the blade warps because of the violent chemical reaction that's happening within the steel structure. And that's probably what happened at the factory with a lot of these. And because they're budget blades, they don't spend enough time to straighten a warp. You know, some of them are probably so bad they don't even straighten them, probably just chuck the blade. I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm just trying to think about cost-effective ways to deal with it. I'm not saying I expect them. I want you guys to know this. I don't expect them to sit there and spend a lot of time straightening every blade. I really don't. I mean, this thing was like $60. So I don't expect that. It's a budget knife. I get it. It's still completely functional. I mean, even, you probably won't even be able to see this, but even when you look down the edge of the knife, the edge kind of slightly curves with it. So I'm thinking the blade is a little bit warped, and it's not just they accidentally grinded a little bit more on, you know, that side than this side. I'm thinking the blade is just slightly warped. And I'm thinking that even if I get another one, there's no way to really fix the problem. I mean, it's just going to happen. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. They're budget blades. But I wonder if you buy the more expensive Fenrirs, the concept Fenrirs that have the front flipper and the liner lock and all that stuff, or I think they have some newer premium ones that have the crossbar lock and stuff, and you're paying about $160, $200. There's even one I saw, Arctic Storm camo. It looks badass, but it's like $214. This one's the black micarta. It kind of plays with your eyes a little bit in real life. I mean, it looks pretty black right now on camera, but in real life under different lighting, sometimes it looks a little purple, sometimes it looks a little like very dark green, but it's very, very cool. I like this. The micarta is grippy. There's some reviewers that are like, oh, this is cheap micarta, I don't like it. And there is cheap micarta out there, but sometimes it's just how it's finished. Again, my experience as a knife maker, you can make micarta super slick. You can make the most expensive micarta in the world super slick by how you polish it. The higher grit you go on sanding the micarta, the smoother and smoother and smoother it gets. So if you leave it rough, it's a little bit more discolored, like it looks a little bit more white if it's rough. The reason I usually polish my micarta handles whenever I do knives, because it just, the color pops a lot more the more polish you give it. So if you go up to like 3,000 grit, for example, it's a very rich color. If you stop at like 200 grit, which is very rough, then you have more grip, but the color of it is very, unless you like douse it with oil or something. But in my case, so right now you see it's like smudgy from the sweat. And people also say this too. This is another thing I'm going to complain about. Reviewers will be like, oh, your hand oils will just soak off onto the handle and it'll darken it. Yeah, but one day of wearing this thing in my pocket, I sweat like crazy, it all comes off. So yeah, it might be darkened, it might be splotchy, it might have a patina from the oils on your hands, but man, one day, I live in West Virginia, the humidity here is insane. I mean, it's probably worse in Florida. I think West Virginia has the worst humidity besides Florida. It's nuts. I mean, I'm wearing jeans, even during the wintertime, because my job is cleaning carpet, so I go into people's house and I clean carpet. And, you know, you're cold when you're outside, but inside you're sweating in jeans and, you know, you're more bundled up and all that. The sweat rubs all the, you know, in the pocket, moving around your pocket, the sweat comes off, and then it's white again. So right now it's splotchy, but another day of working with this thing, it's going to be whitish gray again. So that doesn't work for a lot of people. Maybe if you're in Kansas or somewhere where there's no humidity at all, that's not an issue. But anyways, so that's my big problem. Look down the sight of your blade like an arrow and look to see if it's straight. The first time I noticed this, I have a Cold Steel Code 4. It's that really slick looking aluminum cold steel knife that they make. It's awesome. The Code 4, I could not get that thing centered. That thing was so crooked. And then I looked down and I'm like, oh my God, the blade is really, the blade on that one is really warped. I mean, the blade almost hits the side of the scales. It's that bad. I still have it for some reason, but I need to get another one because that one's so curved. It's like, holy, how did that one even get sent out? So I just want you guys to know that sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes it's not the way the screws are tightened. it's that you need to just look down the blade of your knife to see. Look at that. I mean, you can kind of tell a little bit right there how it just curves over like that, like a crooked, you know. Anyways, it's, you know, I spent 10 minutes talking about this. I told you it was going to be quick. Overall, the knife is great. There's no backspacer at all. It's just standoffs. I would love, man, I'd pay like a couple extra bucks for full backspacers because that protects the blade in there. I explained in my first review that, you know, you could bang the knife around on things, keys, coins, other things. You know, if you toss the knife in a drawer or something like that, shit gets in between your scales and bashes against the edge of your knife and dulls it, puts nicks in it and stuff. A full-length backspacer eliminates all of that, and I think they look really cool. So, and it's really easy to still clean out. People are like, oh, just get some compressed air and blow it out. Well, you can just take a Q-tip and stick it in there and just wipe out dust and dirt too with a backspacer, so that's not a big deal. But very smooth. I had to tighten it a little bit when it came. The blade, there's a lot of side-to-side wiggle. I fixed it. That seems to be fine now. Crossbar, it seems like the tension on the Omega springs is very tight, very, very hard, very nice, very strong. Not spongy at all. It feels like the knife has a little bit more of a detent than other Axis locks, especially like a Benchmade. Very sharp. These Fenrirs come sharp as hell. That's one good thing. They're very pokey, prickly knives and stuff, you know, with the very thin edge, very thin tip. Not much more to really say about it, to be honest. This has got the black wash. I love black wash. And it seems to be like the warping is worse on the black wash. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But I have 2 stone wash, 2 plain stone wash, and 2 black wash. And the plain stone wash are a little bit less severe than both of my black wash ones. The other Fenrir that has a really warped blade it's got the forest green G10 with the checkered pattern with the black blade. That one also has a more exaggerated warp. I mean, again, it's acceptable. Like, I'm not going to send it back or anything. I'm just letting you guys know, like, hey, if you're being driven crazy by blade centering, look to see if your blade is straight. I have so many knives that are like that. Ever since I started noticing that, I check every knife I have, and you'd be alarmed. I've got dozens. Out of the hundreds that I have dozens of knives that have warped blades like that. So just a little food for thought. Nitro V steel. That's a good budget steel. Very tough. Got decent edge retention for the price. You know, this is making me want to get the bigger one. Or not the bigger one, the more premium one. And it's actually crazy how they just keep changing stuff. So like on this one, you see it's got, I guess this is for the stop pin. There's no finger choil, which is fine. I mean, you could get right up underneath that edge. There's no reason to put a finger choil right there because I can get literally right behind the edge right there. But the newer ones with the compression lock have that little finger choil there, that little carve out, which, you know, if you like that, fine. But this one, I don't think it needs it because, again, look where they put this little finger piece right there. You can put it right there, and it's very comfortable. So that just takes away blade length. It literally takes away cuttable edge of your blade. So why would you want that on such a little knife like this? I mean, I can understand on a big knife you're like, gotta need a lot of extra leverage to really get up there and choke because this thing's so unwieldy. But like, this is not wieldy at all. This is very cool. This is very elegant. Kind of reminds me of the Fenrir, I think, is a wolf in Norse mythology. So kind of reminds you of like a wolf face or snout a little bit. I love the harpoon where you can get your thumb right in there. The other ones, the compression lock has jimping right here. This one doesn't. That's another thing I noticed is no finger choil on this one and no jimping, but the compression lock has jimping and has a bigger finger choil. So this was more focusing on just blade straightening and blade warpage and stuff because, again, you've probably already seen dozens of videos on the Fenrir. People have made tons and tons of videos on this thing the last few years, different variations. So I thought I would just add what I think and what is important to me, and something that I don't see people mentioning enough is warped blades. That's your lesson for today, warped blades. Pocket clip has a lot of tension on it. It's very good. The clip isn't inset, but the screws are flat and flush, so you shouldn't have much problem with that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I generally like Omega springs now. I used to not, because of the possibility of them breaking. But I saw a YouTube video. I'm sorry I don't remember the guy's name. This was a year or two ago. But he basically was like, here's a trick. If you're out in the field, if you're doing stuff, if you're doing work or whatever, and you have an Omega spring break, just go over to like a tree or a bush. I mean, they shouldn't be hard to find unless you're in like New York City with no foliage. You should be able to find a little twig And if the omega springs break, you can stick a twig right in that little hole right there. And just temporarily, like until you can get your omega springs fixed. When you open it up, just stick the stick through there, and that keeps the crossbar lock from disengaging. So you can still use it. Or if you're out camping and you have an access lock, and same thing, just there's sticks everywhere. Just go grab a little twig and stick it through there, and that's enough to really keep this thing locked open. I mean, it would take a tremendous amount of force to completely shatter that twig and then go down and break through it or whatever. So that made me ease up on crossbar locks a little bit, because they are a legitimately very strong lock. I mean, I don't know if they're as strong as the shark lock or the triad lock, but they're definitely stronger than liner locks, compression locks. They're definitely way stronger than button locks. I don't own a single button lock. Speaking of which, man, I've had probably a couple dozen CGRBs, man. Their button locks were terrible. The Tundra, the issue I had with that is terrible. I had the CGRB, or I think it's actually under the Artisan name, this Artisan Cutlery Simoon, that one that looks like an upswept Persian cleaver blade or whatever. I bought 2 of those. Both of them, when you would shut the blade, the edge is dinging on the back spacers, or on the standoffs. Right out of the box. If you just do that just a little bit too hard, there was a humongous ding on one of them and a minor ding on the other one. So they were both doing it. One was just doing it worse. So the tolerances suck. They just have so many problems, man. I'm sorry if you like CGRB. They have cool designs, but their fit and finish and quality control can be balls sometimes. So yeah, I'm trying not to let this go over 20 minutes. Excellent knife. The blade stock is actually thicker than what you're used to seeing nowadays. Nowadays, you're seeing like 3mm blade stock or whatever, 2.8mm blade stock. This is actually like almost 3.5mm. So a little bit thicker than what you might be used to, and I like that, because you can, on a thicker blade, you can still come to a nice slicey edge. I mean, obviously you have the full thickness up here, which might be a little bit like a wedge cutting through stuff, but it's not overly thick. This is still very, very reasonable, but because this tip is so thin, it gives you more rigidity, more durability, more thickness or whatever, and it makes it feel a little bit more hard use, and I like that. I like hard use knives. I like knives that are a little bit overbuilt, a little bit chunky. Really, I mean, this is kind of going against what I like. I like kind of chody, chunky, like little stubby, fat knives, big cleavers, big real fat, wide tontos, stuff like that. So this is a little bit more slender than what I typically prefer, but there's something about this design that is amazing. I just love it. So if you have any more questions, I'll try to answer them in the comments. Really great knife, really great brand. Tenable was one of my favorite brands right now. They're just killing it. They're taking a lot of premium blades that they've made for years and turning it into a more affordable price, and I absolutely love that. I love the Wraith L that they released. That one's awesome. I need to get a few more of those, although that's a problem too, because the blade edge, you can touch it with your finger, and again, no full back spacer, and the blade is so wide, and I love wide blades, but they need to thicken that handle up, make it wider that way or something, because you could literally run your finger across the back and touch that edge right here. Not down here, but up here on the Wraith L you can. But other than that, it's an amazing design. I've got 3 of those. I like to buy multiples of knives that I really like. The bomb bore, the Midgard's Messer bomb bore, they did like a collaboration with them. They made that. I mean, they just have so many blades coming out. It's just so awesome, and there's too many knives, and I don't have enough money. And I gotta go in and work out here in a second. I'm drinking C4 Sour Gummy Splash. You can barely find this flavor anywhere. It's like 1 out of every 10 gas stations has it, and I found it, and I bought like 4 of them. So there you go. But yeah, if you have any more questions, I think I covered the basics. Again, I really just wanted to talk about the warp blades. I was using this knife as an excuse to talk about warp blades. That's the main focus of this. So yeah, I will try to upload a little bit more frequently, because I got a lot of ideas, a lot of criticisms, a lot of praises, just to let you guys know. The whole point is to talk about things that you don't normally see reviewers talk about. Detent strength, warped blades, things that you just normally don't see. So, yep. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Thank you.